Just so everyone's aware, I just started the live stream, so.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Mirror image.
It's
Oh, there's a pile of them out there. I know, I got them online too.
or
Hey, Greg, I got your welcome to the council letter today. That was very nice of you. Thank you.
Oh, great. Glad you got it.
Just want to say I appreciate it.
Sure. I appreciate it.
Greg, is that you on that concrete commercial that I see?
Yes, it is.
I
That
said-
was done about 3 years ago. And we had some unequal concrete segments in our driveway and even worse on our front walkway. It was off like about 2 inches in places. And I just found those guys, A1 Concrete. I called them up. And the guy, it was $1,000, I'll tell you, to repair 2 pieces of driveway and 2 pieces of front walk. And I thought it was a little high at the time, but anyway, the guy called me back and he said, if you, we're trying to promote ourselves in this area, and if you allow us to film you, you don't have to say anything. He said, we'll knock a fourth of that off. And I said, well, okay. So, and I couldn't be more pleased. The concrete looks great. And that was 3 years ago. And I can't even tell where they drilled the holes to. They drill a hole and they force this liquid limestone underneath of there. And then it raises it up and then they seal the hole back up. And I can't even tell where they drilled the holes. I'm really happy with it.
You got $50 worth of free publicity on it.
Yeah,
You ought to put a vote for me on.
I should have, had I known back then. Yeah, that's me.
Connected.
Okay, now can anybody hear me? Okay.
I am not getting video here.
We can see you, Don. Nope, not anymore.
Don's left the meeting. It must have been something you said, Sarah.
Very sensitive group.
I can have that effect on people sometimes.
There's John Embry.
Hey, John.
Hi, John.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
After I messed up the web link again, I had to call Ron and get on.
It's easy to do.
The new person?
We've got our ethics now that John's.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you have good.
I'm sorry,
We have our ethics now that you're with us.
a little bit. Well, is the what was the Tom Hanks movie? Charlie Wilson's War.
Right.
To see that when he was asked to be on the ethics committee, somebody said, "You ethics," and he said, "Well, they have to have the opposing point of view."
Trying to see who's here. Who's in the council room?
Frank, Harold, and Sandra.
Well, then everybody's here and we can get started since it is 7 o'clock, right on the
In the
nose.
middle of his glasses.
Yeah, we're on. Yeah, this is the city council meeting for the city of Prospect. The monthly regular meeting today is December 14, 2020. And the meeting will please come to order. The first order of business on the agenda is the approval of the minutes of the regular city council meeting on November 16, 2020. Are there any suggestions for additions, corrections, that sort of thing? If not, I'll ask for a motion to approve those minutes.
I'll
So
move to
moved.
approve.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it, and they are approved. Mayor,
Can you hear me?
can I hear who? Somebody just said something. And then we'll say it again. The mayor's update, I have a few things. First, we recently have applied for an additional $103,000 of CARES money. That is in addition to what we've already received, a total of $354,500 already received. So that would be on top of it. And we just recently applied for it. I don't know if Laura's online or not. She can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that $103,000 maxes us out as far as the money that's been made available so far.
Yes, we had already applied for reimbursements for the maximum amount of our initial allotment, which was 300 and some thousand. This 103,000 is part of the second award that was announced just a couple weeks ago.
All right. Thank you, Laura. The second thing I want to let you know about is the lawsuit that was filed last week in Jefferson Circuit Court against Metro and LDG. And that lawsuit alleges that Metro Planning Commission's approval of LDG's Viridian project, the one up on 42, does not comply with several agreements that were part of the rezoning that was done there of that land back in 1973. Specifically, first, there was an agreement made at that time that there would be a 60-foot wide easement along 42. The LDG plans do not call for that. Second, there is a limitation that was agreed to back in 73 on the number of units per acre. And the LDG proposal is a greater number than were agreed to when the rezoning was done. And third, there was an agreement at that time that the developer would build a sewage treatment plant, and that has never been done. The lawsuit asks for an injunction and a declaration of rights. And the complaint is a public document, and I will be glad to forward a copy of it to any of you if you ask for it.
Who filed the complaint, John? I'm having trouble hearing you.
I don't know the names. I don't have it in front of me. They are a couple of LLCs, but my understanding is that one of the parties behind the LLC is a resident who lives nearby that proposed development. It's a matter of public record. I'll be glad to tell you that the lawyer for that LLC, or maybe for both of them, is a resident of Prospect that you have met, I think, named Bissell Roberts. It's as much as I know.
Could you just send that to all the council members?
Sure.
Okay, I'd appreciate that anyway.
I'll be glad to, Frank.
Thank
you. Third item, our new code enforcement officer is Rick Wilson, and he's doing a good job. He is supervised by Chief Sherrard. That supervision and who he reports to and so forth, that's all been moved to the police department, which I think is a good move. Even so, I interact with Rick pretty regularly, and I can tell you he's very organized, and he gets out in the community on a very regular basis. And he talks to me about what he's doing and what he's found and things he's corrected. He's really on top of it. So I'm really pleased with that new employee. Number 4, work on the 2 new residential developments, the Breakers and Hunting Green. They're both progressing, and I have not heard any complaints about either of them for at least a month. I'd never had any complaints about Hunting Green, but I used to get complaints on a regular basis about work in the Breakers starting too early and that sort of thing. And I don't get them anymore. We just received a request from the Breakers for its 3rd house building permit. And Hunting Green is still moving dirt, so that'll be a while before we get any of those. But the Breakers, apparently, they're already building houses back there. Well, not apparently, I know they are, because I approved a building permit for the Southern Living House 2 or 3 weeks ago. And prior to that, Stephanie Gillazan had built a, I don't know if it's finished, but it's under roof, a speculation house which she told me had sold for $1.3 million. So that's moving forward. Finally, I want to tell you, we recently got 2 thank you gifts from residents. Dr. Ahrens sent $1,000 as a thank you to Linda Wardell for the parks, where he enjoys going frequently to do bird watching. Another resident, Dr. Stephen Mowry, sent 13 gift cards for our police as his way of thanking them for their watching his home while he and his wife are away. That's really nice. Any questions? Well, hearing none, I will move into the committee reports. And the first one, John Emery, is the Ethics Committee report, please.
Okay, well, it is, dear, thank Sarah about thanks for waking us up on that. The ordinance change. This is an election year, and the new ordinance has a December report due, and in a non-election year, it's due in January. So I was thinking, anyway, there's really not much to report. I sent a written report in. The coronavirus, COVID-19, gave us nothing, no reason to meet. We had no request for, or we had no filings, complaints filed, or requests for advisory opinions. So there was no meeting for that. As I mentioned, MacArthur Darby, who happens to be the mayor's next door neighbor, is moving to Alexandria, Virginia, to live sort of with his daughter, where she can kind of watch over him. And so, well, later you've got an order in the agenda to move Dan Colbreth to full commission member, and we'll need a new alternate member. The only other thing that happened, since I have two new members, Dan and Colbreth and Gordon Costley this year, we did get together virtually and just went over some of the things that have happened in the past and what we look at, and you know, and what it takes to make the Ethics Commission do its work, which thankfully is most of the time pretty easy. I will mention one more time, or at least you'll hear it again and again. First year, reports, financial disclosure reports will be due, and please, people, chair committees or who are on committees that have to fill out this form, ask their members to read carefully the instructions. According to a number of those folks that have filled out the form, apparently nobody owns property in Prospect. They've checked not applicable, even old print. They're not reading, and they're not filling it out the way it needs to be filled. And you'll hear more from me on that in January. And John, unless people have got questions, it takes care of me.
Any questions for John? Thank you.
Thanks, John.
Yeah. There's a Parks and Recreation Board Committee report in writing that's part of your packet. Linda Wardell sent an email today saying she couldn't be here. I've talked with Linda at some length about much of what's in here. If anybody has questions, I'll attempt to answer them. And I don't know if she has someone speaking for her other than me. Any questions about her report?
I just had one question. I'm glad they're looking into the whole Putney Pond thing, and I think she's done a very good job of explaining it to us. Are there any other steps to be taken or studies to be done?
I believe she mentions in her report, well, I know she mentions an outfit called Ecotech Consultants. That's not the company by a very, very similar name that picks up trash. These are ecological consultants, and she has talked with them, and she is also going to explore other similar consulting companies about Putney Pond and parks. But as of today, about 4 o'clock, she had not gotten any more information on that. We had a Parks Committee meeting. Sarah was there. I'm trying to think, Don Gibson, I believe, was there. I can't remember if Greg was or not. He may have been. And talked about Putney Pond. And the consensus was that, and this is all of us, given that it would cost millions of dollars to dredge the pond and dispose of the soil removed, we concluded that that was a no-starter. It wasn't anything official. It's just, having discussed it among ourselves, that's where we are. In addition, even if it were dredged at a cost of a couple $1 million, it would fill up again. It would take years. In fact, right now, apparently it'll take 10 to 15 years for it to turn into a wetlands, and it would still have a stream flowing through it. But it's a slow process that's been happening over the years. So
I'll tell you where I'm coming from. I don't disagree with anything that's been written or that's been said, but I think that I think at some point in time, we need to have a public activity so that people can know why and what's being done and express their opinions of it. Now, obviously with COVID, it's not something we're going to do in the next few months, but at some point in time, I do think we need to have a public meeting where we talk about why, if we're going to let it become a wetlands, we are. And having some professional come in and make a presentation of what looks like it would happen, what I think would be very beneficial. Otherwise, we're not giving our citizens a right to express themselves in regard to what is a significant issue.
All right, agreed. We'll have to wait a few months to do that.
Yeah, I think just, I'm sure Linda will be able to speak to it when she can come to one to update. She has talked to you in terms of having a professional come talk. She probably has talked to probably 8 different agencies if I added them all up. So they've all had different areas of expertise. It may be worth asking her in terms of compiling that data to be able to provide. I think one professional probably wouldn't cover all the bases, i.e. from wetland restoration to stream management to what happens ecologically to a man-made pond always turn into a wetland and then into a marsh. So I think there's different people. It may be worth her compiling that data and then giving it potentially if she wants.
Point's really well taken. My concern is that we can't, I don't think we should just decide to do something without saying something to the residents. And you're right, one person definitely can't do the whole thing. And Linda's here, so we can let her talk too.
She said she had, I think it's Linda Knox who is on. I think Linda said she won't be able to listen until tomorrow. I chatted with her today. I think one thing we may want to be mindful of is if, because it's always good.
I think she's with us.
Correct. Linda Wardell is not.
Oh, okay, because I do think Linda Knox is here.
Right, Linda Knox is here, right? Linda Wardell is not.
Wardell.
Yeah. what was I gonna say? For for the public input, because it's basically deciding, or what the group talked about was deciding not to do something, not necessarily to do anything. So something to maybe for all to be mindful of is if we put it out as a possibility to maintain as a pond and dredge, then the city needs to be prepared to pay to do that if people say they want to. So just something to think about.
No, I wasn't thinking about that so much as I think that if we're going to let it become a wetlands, we have to provide a rationale for why we bought a pond and we're letting it become a wetlands. And I think there are a lot of very excellent reasons. But I think that the population has a right to know. We spent hundreds of thousands of dollars to buy it as a pond. And I appreciate all the reasons why it's going to become a wetlands. All I'm saying is that that needs to go out to the public.
To
And
share
they
it,
need
yeah.
to be able to say something if they want to.
Okay, yeah, perfect.
Anything else? All right, hearing none, I would turn to the Forestation Board. Linda Knox, you making a report?
You should have received a written report on our December meeting. Hopefully you have some questions. If not, I can update you in that we have received the quote to remove the oak tree in Cowley Park. It's very comprehensive in terms of taking out the tree, doing the cleanup, stump grinding, fill in. So Ron has that information and can work with it as time and budget permit. And then in the meantime, from the report, you saw that we're looking to take out the tree that's dead up in Hunting Creek near the Christmas decorations. And we're working towards that. That paperwork's been submitted and we're looking for replacements there and for the oak tree.
All right. Any questions for Linda?
Yeah, Linda, do you remember what I saw down in Harrods Creek Park, the trees that were planted? So they look really good.
Yeah,
Just,
they do.
They look really nice.
Plump oaks and they look great.
They do. Yeah, they were, it's a nice little welcoming path.
Mhm.
You
Yeah,
know, offhand, it sounds like you all don't have a variety picked out yet for both of those spots. So cost, I'm sure.
Due for we had submitted a plan for Cowley Park and we were worried about replacing that oak tree because it was a kind of a landmark within the park, and the tree we were working with was another oak. It was called a heritage oak. Andrea Hanlon is working on a suggested replacement for the spruce that has died up in the island near the entry of Hunting Creek.
Do you have an average? I saw you only have $600, $607 left in your budget for tree planting. Do you have offhand what an average tree planting costs? Not the aftercare, but do you? You've said it at a meeting, not maybe you, but maybe Andrea. I just don't know if you know offhand.
It depends on the size of the tree. A lot of them, 150 to 250, and then about 150 to plant them, depending on the amount of work that's been done.
So 360, 350, 360 range kind of potentially.
Could be.
To
I think a lot of it depends on the species that we select and what's available and the price. Because, we do try and shop. And I think one of the things we talked about at the last meeting, and I think, Sarah, you heard that sometimes it's better to plant something a little smaller because it's easier to establish and grow faster.
Yeah.
And actually, if I look at the expenditures and budget document we've got, they have 2,500 still left in tree planting. Is that not correct?
From my document says
Well,
they
no.
spent 1,893, I think.
I think it's been spent with all the recent billing. I'm not sure that everything has come through from the nursery or the planting company.
For the ones you just did?
Exactly.
Yeah. From what I show, as of December 3rd, you had spent $1,893. The carryover of the trees you wanted to do last year, but that all just got planted with the money from this year.
Yeah, and there would be more. So that's not all been included yet. So there's not a whole lot to work with. And as I included in the report, the mayor did offer some support for planting out of contingency funds that he controls.
So Linda, do you think that that 1893 that's already spent, that's not inclusive of everything yet, you think? Is that
No,
what you were
I do
saying?
not.
Okay.
Yeah, there's $5,000 in the mayor's contingency fund. We're halfway through the year and I haven't touched it. So if I need to use some of that to pay for the replacement trees in Cali Park and Hunting Creek exit entrance, I told them I would be happy to do that.
And so when we have the complete update on the recommendations and the true costs, council will get that and you can all go from there.
Sounds good. Thanks, Linda.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Linda Knox? Okay. We have committee reports on the agenda for the library and the history book. Under the COVID situation, there usually isn't much at this time, but Sandra, the floor is yours if you want it.
The library committee have carefully thought through a used book sale, and when the governor feels things like that are appropriate, we'll need approximately 1 month and we'll have the biggest sale we've ever had because the donations are still coming in.
That's awesome.
Put them
In
all.
regard to the history book, just the COVID has done dreadful things. And one of the sad parts is that one of the people that we spent a lot of time talking to because he was so wonderful and full of information was Leonard Height. And he had been the fire chief from 1974 for 27 years. And so the fire department does a magnificent job of keeping their history. It was amazing to us to be able to go from the beginning when the department didn't exist to when they raised money, not from taxpayers, but from residents to open the Harrods Creek Fire Department. And then their very first truck is wonderful. It's a refurbished thing from World War II that they put a water tank on the back of. Anyway, just one of the things that happens in the history book is that people pass away. And this man was very special. We have hours worth of time that we spent with him. But the other part of it is that the Harrods Creek Fire Department by itself is wonderful archives. Someday, maybe there'll be a fire department museum in Louisville, and if there is, this department will definitely have contributions.
Yeah, I knew Leonard and I was very saddened to see in Sunday's paper just yesterday that he had passed away.
That's true.
We'll be doing something tomorrow, obviously, for the funeral, but we're very limited what we can do with everything that's going on. It's really too bad because he deserves a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he does.
Sandra back church at the outside book sale. New one for you.
I cannot see from here whether the chief or the assistant chief are there. Oh, there he is. You're on, Jeff.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, good. All right, good for us. Another slow month. I guess that's the only good thing about COVID is everything's been pretty much slow for us. So with regards to some of the reports, there appears to be a fairly significant number of them reported on here. However, most of it's pretty non-consequential. It's the usual stuff. Cars that were left unlocked, people rifling through them. The usual stuff with the credit card fraud where somebody left a purse on top of the gas pumps and then somebody comes along, finds the purse and immediately uses the card and then the owner comes back 5 minutes later and it's gone. So we had a couple of those type of incidents. We had one last week that's not reflected here, but it just occurred last week. It's filed technically as a burglary, but that's describing it sort of inconsistently. By law, it is a burglary where someone left their garage door open overnight and someone, crime of opportunity, drove by, saw it open, goes inside the garage, and they find the keys to a truck inside the truck, so they stole the truck. This occurred in Hunting Creek. This resident also had been given what we do things called patrol notices. Our late watch guys, if they're driving around and they see something where a garage door's left open, if they see car doors that are left open, they'll close them. And like in the case of a car, they'll close the door, but they also leave a notice with the homeowner and says, hey, by the way, we found your car door open, be more cautious, things like that. At this particular home, the late watch officer had already left several notices that they've left their garage door open at night. Well, last week it jumped up and bit them in the butt because somebody took their car. So not only did they leave the garage door open, but they left keys inside the vehicle. So we really battle with some of those things, really a crime of ignorance. So that was really disappointing because they've been warned on numerous occasions not to do that. But when the officer took the report, there were 3 different people within the home, and any of the 3 admittedly said, well, it could have been me that left it open. The husband says, well, I went out at such and such, and I don't remember closing the door. The wife said, well, I took the dog out at midnight. I don't remember closing it. And then their teenage son, who actually drove the truck, came in, said, yeah, I don't remember closing the door. So that's pretty frustrating from our standpoint. So now on the books, we show a burglary that occurred in Prospect, that it wasn't a burglary in the traditional sense where somebody broke into a home. So that's frustrating for us. And again, those are the type of things that kind of really get under my craw because we warn people and warn people and warn people. We can't get anybody to lock their cars and things like that where we provide multiple notices, that we have to fight that. Okay. Another one of the reports that's listed on here that somebody may have questions on, and it's related to harassment at a demonstration. If you look through that, we only took a report on that just because somebody may have a question. You know, basically every Friday night, we have people that show up there by the Walgreens and then they peacefully demonstrate. This has gone on for months. They've not caused us any issues whatsoever. They stay up on the sidewalk. They're never in traffic. They merely hold signs for a couple of hours and they really haven't bothered anybody and have not caused us any problem at all. Apparently, a few weeks ago, we had someone that showed up as a counter protester that was holding a sign in opposition of the initial protesters. And then so some words were exchanged and one of the original protesters attempted to rip away the sign from a counter protester. And in the process, they slipped and fell on their own. And so we just had an exchange of words. So in the event that anybody wanted to know what occurred in that, we took a report in that sense because one person said they were harassed. So in the event someone wanted to follow up and take a warrant for the other person, that's why a report was taken on that. But we weren't present when it occurred, but we got the information from all the parties involved. The officer attempted to talk to the people that were witnesses and things like that. So we just documented that because those are the type of things that eventually could draw the attention of news media or something like that. If somebody said, well, a protester was assaulted in Prospect. Well, now we have it documented as to what actually occurred and who was spoken to on the night that it occurred. So back to the code enforcement a little bit, as Mayor Evans discussed, Rick Wilson has been working out very well. He reports to me on the days that he's here. He reports to me on a daily basis. before he leaves for the day. He tells us everything that he's worked on. He gives us a daily log. We have this daily mileage because he's driving his personal car at the time. So we're keeping track of that. At the end of every month, up until the point that we provide a vehicle for him, we'll keep mileage. And on a monthly basis, we will submit for his mileage, the expenditures, and get a check to him once a month for that. He does a really good job of documentation. Yes, ma'am.
Does he have a regular work schedule?
Yeah, well, no, because he can only work 3 days a week.
But are there certain 3 days?
Well, he's Monday and Tuesday for sure. And the third day, he's rotating, and it could be Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday. But that third day is in a rotating basis because there may be some people that need to be here on Friday or some people, and so it gives them an option. So, but it's worked out really well so far. And he's been very responsive to talk to people. He's done great with permits and some of the things that are listed on here. We're going to do a much better job on the reporting here because after seeing it written up this way, I don't particularly care for it like this. So we'll sort of get you a better idea of like the number of permits that were worked on and stuff, because he's done a lot more than what's on here. A lot of the stuff that we're seeing on this section of the report, he cleaned up that were pending from Mike Lesch's stuff. Like the pool and fence installation, that had been months and months ago. That pool had been installed, but it was never followed up on. He went back and there was actually a glitch with the fence. The fence wasn't properly installed, the latching mechanism. So he followed up with that, made sure that they corrected all that. And so he's done really well. And then after he's caught up on all that, he lets me know the particular subdivisions that he's actually patrolled in looking for other violations and stuff. He's really a go-getter. I mean, we are extremely fortunate to have him. I couldn't be any more happy. So that's about all I have, if anybody has any questions.
Chief, I saw you got the new pickup truck. Is that fully in service?
Yes.
Yeah.
Went in service, came back Friday afternoon about 4:30.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's nice.
So, yeah, surprisingly, it's cheaper than the sedan.
Mhm.
They're just running a great deal on the Dodge 1500 Ram truck, 4 doors, cheaper than a 4-door car.
Yeah.
So all-wheel drive.
Is it a regular patrol vehicle?
Yes.
Yeah.
The only thing it doesn't have is it's not equipped with a moving radar, because I don't want anybody trying to turn around in traffic with a moving radar gun in a pickup truck on 42, because it's probably not the most mobile truck in the world to do that. However, they do have the option with what we have as a handheld radar gun that which is portable, that they can sit at an intersection, they can sit on the side of the road and run radar from a stationary position, where then you can just pull straight out on a speeder with that. So that they can still run it, but they just don't run it from an opposite direction, which is what you can do with a mobile unit.
Chief, one last thing. I noticed in the last couple of months, there's been maybe 3 cars specifically. One's a Volkswagen, one's a Audi, I think, and I don't know the other one. Very loud exhausts. I mean, go through here 15 times a day, and it's the same car, and it does sound like gunshots. Have you guys, I mean, do you guys patrol at all for that? I mean, you know where I live, Frank, and.
Yeah, I haven't heard that one.
Really? Okay.
I've even heard it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, it's the same like 3 cars.
later in the afternoon.
Yeah.
But usually I hear it.
I mean, we hear it at the station. I mean, you can hear it from far away. So
It's just a loud muffler.
it's a backfiring of the exhaust.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And he's not shy about it either.
Is there any, do we have any recourse in something like that? Is there a statute that you can?
Yeah, it's called inadequate muffler or silencer. You can issue a citation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right.
Yep.
Thank you,
Jeff,
Chief.
is that it?
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much.
Happy holidays to everyone.
You too.
Yes, sir.
Move into new business. And the first order of new business is this agreement to amend the cable franchise. And I'd like Chris Gorman to explain what that's about.
Okay, first let me explain that at the last meeting, I thought that it was originally passed as an ordinance. It was not. It was simply an agreement. Therefore, we don't need an ordinance to change it. We just need to have an amendment to the agreement. It's simply a right-of-way usage franchise agreement amendment. All we have to do is pass it the one time. When we do that, we will pick up about $40,000 a year. I think I've explained it previously. Does anyone have any questions?
I do.
Yes, sir.
What does it change from? What we have in front of us is what it changes to, but what is it changing from?
It's changing from allowing the state to collect it and then remit to us and take out about half of the money. That's what it's changing from. And it's also changing from 3% to 5%. The original agreement, I keep saying ordinance, in the original agreement, for some reason, it only said that we would receive 3%, but they collect 5%. Think of it in terms of the insurance premium tax. If we don't take the entire insurance premium tax, then it goes to the county or to the state. In this instance, it will not raise the taxes of the taxpayers 1 penny, but we'll get 5% now instead of 3%. The bottom line, Mr. Mayor, is that we'll receive about another $40,000 per year.
Well, that's good. Sounds like a no-brainer. I'm going to ask the council to vote on this before I sign it. Would you like a roll call or do you just want to go ayes?
I do a roll call. I do a roll call.
All right, we'll do it that way then. Let's see, who's first? Frank Coulter,
Aye.
Don Gibson,
Aye.
Greg Hulsman,
Aye.
Andrew Leonard,
Aye.
Sarah Odell,
Aye.
Harold Shue.
Aye.
The ayes have it. All right, Chris, thank you very much. Sign that tomorrow. Next order of business is a municipal order 6/2020, consenting to the nomination of Prospect Ethics Commission alternate member Dan Culbreth to a vacant regular member position and affixing a term of office thereto. You should have it in front of you.
I move approval.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All say aye.
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 All opposed. The ayes have it, and that has been approved. Finally, we have a municipal order establishing the schedule for regular city council meetings in 2021. Is there a motion regarding that?
I move to approve.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll come to a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. Then that's been passed. That's the end of the agenda unless there are comments from citizens.
There are no citizens.
John, if
Mr.
there-
Mayor?
Yeah.
Mr. Mayor, I'd just like to thank everyone. At this point, I'm down by 3 votes, so it does not look like I'm going to get reelected next term, but I really appreciate everyone. Mayor, Chief, fellow council members, it's been a great experience for the last 2 years.
We thank you, Harold, for all of your hard work.
Yeah, I
Yes,
want
sir.
to join in that. And Harold, let me tell you, I'd love to have you come back in 2 years.
I don't plan on leaving. You won't get rid of me that easy.
I was going to say, I hope you're going to stick around in this 2 years because you're very valuable in the park.
Absolutely.
So-
Absolutely. I'm going to comment. I'm going to be the one comment from the citizen every time.
I know where you live now.
All right, move to
Thank you
adjourn.
for bringing that up. You've been very helpful.
Yes, ma'am.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right.
Aye.
The ayes have it.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
Thank you, Greg. Merry Christmas.
See you guys.
See ya.
We'll see you soon, Harold.
Yeah, you'll see me around. I'll be in the parks.
Right?
I'll be in the parks.
All right.
Yeah.
Have a good weekend with your family. We'll see you. Bye.
Yeah, there was in the police report something about blowing leaves.